I reached out to 4 first-class students from different departments and colleges, asking them the very simple daily habit they imbibe that contributed to their faith. Some of these habits were inculcated consciously, others subconsciously. Today, we're going to be listening to everything they did and said. We're also going to be picking out the similarities that exist in each of them's daily habits and looking at the one we're going to be imbibing. Before we start the video, I just want to put it out there that every single person we're going to be looking at today has 2 heads. You know, when our parents ask us when we were small, the person that is the first position, does he have 2 heads? Yes, they have 2 heads. Because tell me why someone is finishing with a 4.99 CGPA out of 5.0. But well, we're going to get there. So today we're going to be learning the habit that made them have 2 heads so that we can grow our second head too. The first person we're going to be looking at today is from the Department of Accounting, College of Management and Social Science, the best graduating student of Accounting Department, best graduating student of the College of Management and Social Science, and basically she bagged 3 prizes for being the best graduating student in her department and our college. Oyinkansola Esther Oyenride has a CGPA of 4.92. Give it up for her, please. Woo! For this daily habit, you already know that what we're looking at is not just what they did, it is what they've been doing, what they do every day. Like, it has become a part of their routine that makes them the kind of students that they are. According to our 4.92 double-headed Oyinkansola, one of the daily habits that has helped her is less procrastination. This one hit you, Abby, because you're always procrastinating. You have planned to read today, but you came back from classes by 4 p.m. and you're tired and you're like, whoa, I have some other things to do, so I'm going to move it to the next day. Research has shown that procrastination is one of the problems that someone who is not doing well is probably facing. So Oyinkansola says she doesn't really procrastinate. So the question is, how did she master the art of less procrastination? She said something, and I quote, "Baby steps are still steps." So if she planned to read 10 pages after classes that day, and she comes back from classes, she's exhausted, or she has some meetings, she tells herself that she must still read some of the PDFs because she has already said she was going to do that. So even if it's 2 pages that she ends up reading out of the 10 pages, she still reads something. But you, because you don't have time to read the whole 10 pages again, you move the whole 10 pages to another time. That probably doesn't count. As far as you do something, whether it's little or not, it counts. So one of the daily habits of Oyinkansola is that she sticks to her to-do list. She doesn't move something to another day because there's no time. She creates the time to make sure she ticks it off her list. Another thing she does every day is that she listens to lecturer. In her words that I support 100%, everybody thinks it's cliche. I know, like, I cannot agree more. It sounds so cliche, like listening to a lecturer in class. They're like, oh, we know that we're supposed to listen to a lecturer in class. But then the truth is, not everybody actually listens to their lecturer every single day. There are some days that you know that you are going to that class, you're not going to be attentive, you're not going to listen. But listening to lecturers is Oyinkansola's daily habit. There is no class, literally, that she doesn't listen to the lecturer, no matter how tired she is. Right? She says that listening to the lecturer helps you to know the topics that the lecturer loves. For your examination, you must be able to know at least 3 topics of each of your lecturers that you know that they love so much, that out of these 3, they will surely ask 1. If you do not know that, you are not prepared. Third and the last thing is that she chases high CAs. It is settled in her subconscious that her CAs must be high enough, because she believes that once her CAs are high enough, then it has already given her an edge over others. And why, you might ask, how chasing ICAs is a daily habit, right? Because we're looking at things they do every day, daily habits. It comes in place when you know that you can have impromptu test at any time, right? So if what she does was at the back of her mind every day is that she's chasing ICAs, that means she's ready for impromptu test too. And how does she get ready for impromptu test if it's not that she reads very often, right? So that means every time she's going for a class in maybe cost accounting, right, she's up to date in what we're doing in cost accounting. So if an impromptu test comes up, she's ready. Why? Because she's chasing high C's. The second person we're going to be looking at is quite popular, a media personality par excellence with an Instagram influence of over 10,000 followers and TikTok influence of over 378k followers. You should know. Anyway, you may not know the person. That's okay. With a CGPA of 4.93, double-headed humans. She is the most influential student for the 2023-2024 session. She is the online personality of the year, a Bosan scholar. Bosan is a scholarship for law school, so you get to go to law school with, I think, half of your fees settled, right? She's the winner of the Amnesty International debate for 2024. Big deal. She is the best graduating student in land law, best graduating student in jurisprudence and legal theory, best graduating student in College of Law. Ladies and gentlemen, her name is Gifty Naj. Woo! I spoke with Gifty, and Gifty gave me 7 daily habits that she has inculcated that helped her achieve this feat. Now, I want you to know that there will be some things that, you know, they do, exceptional things that they also do, but these things are not daily habits. So it's just trying to tell you that there's some little things that you can put as part of your day. Just the way you wake up and you're like, every day I'm going to brush my teeth before I go out. Every day I'm going to take my bath before I go to class. That contribute to academic excellence, and that's exactly what we're looking at in this video. So for Gifty says that the number 1 daily habit she has inculcated is that she tries to pray every day. Now, somebody might ask me or might be thinking that, oh, I pray every day too, but my result is not this great. It doesn't look like I'm going to end this way. The thing is that God is not a magician, right? So you will get good results when the sufficiency of God meets your hard work. That's when you will not come with a good result. So when people that they are calling papa mama in school, they are having carryovers, it's because they think that the God that they serve is a magician, but the God that we serve is not a magician. The second daily habit Gifty has inculcated is to apply everything she learns to her everyday life. I think it's something I personally have to learn because I do not think I do this. It sounds like something that is a skill that you have to master. Basically, she applies everything she learns to her daily life. So maybe when something happens and it's a legal magazine, or if there's a terminology for that kind of situation, she tries to recall or check if she recalls the particular maxim for that situation. So if she doesn't recall, if she cannot relate it to her normal life, it is a call for her to go back to, you know, read it properly. According to Gifty, she doesn't separate her academic life from her daily life. She infuses them together by bringing what she has learned in classes to her daily life, so that it helps her to be able to relate, keep it in her memory like it's a normal thing, right? She speaks about it to friends on phone or just teaches or explains to someone else. One habit that has helped this 4.93 graduate of law is that she carries whatever she learns to her everyday life. The third daily habit Gifty has mastered or stuck by is to take breaks. So she could read 2 hours and take 30-minute break. So some people believe that on some days you read calmly, maybe because the topic is chilled, and on some days you read voraciously. But for Gifty, break is a very important part of your study session. So no matter the difficulty or simplicity of the topic and the atmosphere of the studying, break is important. Right, she also doesn't read every day according to her. Can you imagine that a double-headed first-class graduate of law does not read every day? So it's not how far, it's how well. When you read, is it in-depth reading or surface-level reading? That's what matters the most. And I want to say again that I think Gifty understands herself. She's probably the kind of person that doesn't have to read something so many times or spend long hours of studying before she grasps it. The fourth thing she does is active recall. Whenever anything law related comes up, I think of what I know, and if I don't recall, I read up. I've spoken about asking yourself, what do I know about this before you start reading? I spoke about it in one of my videos. Gifty actually served as the principal liaison officer, assistant general secretary, assistant head of debate, assistant head of litigation, head of radio, the host for a couple of events including lead conference, picnics and dinners. This is for you to know that you can balance academics with a lot of things. I forgot to mention that even our Oyinkansola actually served as the financial secretary for the Nigerian University Accounting Student Association for Bowen chapter. She served as a finance director for the Evolving Mind. She served as the welfare for the Bowen Baptist Student Fellowship. She served as the financial secretary for Lead Conference 2024. She served as a member of the academic committee NOASA, and she served as a member of the Bowen Finance Society. The essence of all of the, can you see that even these people, they're not just serving in 1, 2, 3 things, they're serving in a number of things. That's to show you that it is completely possible for you to balance these things with your academics, because naturally humans are not programmed to just do one thing throughout their life. You don't want to do anything in school because you fear that it will affect your academics. You are limiting yourself, and you think you can't do it because you haven't done it. Don't limit yourself. Now let's move on to the third person. Drum rolls, please. I wish I could bring all of them here physically, but you know, it's a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, a first class graduate, of course, from the Department of Biochemistry, the best graduating student in his department, best graduating student in his college, best graduating student for the 2023-2024 academic section of Bowen University, with a CGPA of 4.99. Double-headed individual. His name, I'm so glad we have a guy in our midst. His name is Clinton Akombi. He served as the sports director and academic director of his department. I am going to read what he said. I quote, "At the start of each semester, I'd always plan to dive into my academics right away." So he doesn't wait till the weeks have passed by before he starts reading. He doesn't wait till it's like, okay, the group works are already choking. It's human. So he says that sometimes he ends up relaxing a bit, thinking exams are still far off. My drive to keep going came from wanting to do well in both academics and sports, and thinking of my parents' sacrifice. So whenever Clinton wakes up every single day, I believe he thinks, I cannot put my parents' sacrifice to waste. If I say I love academics and sports, then a blind person must be able to see that I love it. A deaf person must be able to hear that I love it. I think every day there's this subconscious reaffirmation that whatever I claim I love doing, I must excel in it. I also made it a habit to pray before starting my day. It's interesting that Gifty shares the same habit. Before studying, before practice, before bed, keeping God at the center of everything I did. That connection gave me strength, especially on those challenging days. On busy days with classes from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., I'd bring snacks to stay alert and eat proper meal at Jubilee Cafeteria afterwards. Another daily habit that I can pick from Clinton's story is that it doesn't starve itself. Some of you think that not eating till midnight or not eating for that day is a big flex. I actually spoke with a 3.91 out of 4 points CGPA in civil engineering in University of Ibadan, and that was at number 3.2. Eat well. So it is not a flex that you don't eat. It is not a flex that somebody needs to hear this. After getting back to the hostel, I'd usually unwind by scrolling through my phone for about 30 minutes, then nap from 6 to 7:30 p.m. You'll be like, oh, two-headed person, you use social media? What of Gifty? Gifty is the social medium herself. She's the person you go to social media to go and look at, right? But then see where it draws the line. 30 minutes. How many of you can hold your phone for 30 minutes and say after 30 minutes I'm going to drop it, right? You study, let me read it the way you wrote it. I'll study until around 11 p.m. then wake up at 4 a.m. for another 2 hours of studying. So let's get it straight. He wakes up 4 a.m. to study to 6. He has classes by 8. So maybe from 7 he has to start preparing for his classes. So my point, what I'm trying to bring out, is that when he wakes up by 4, he probably doesn't sleep back. So his day begins at 4 a.m. My day does not begin at 4 a.m. Your day probably doesn't begin at 4 a.m. too. So you see what the double-headed people are doing. They're starting their day by 4 a.m. Oh my goodness. This flexible routine kept me prepared for impromptu tests. You'd read 4 to 6 every day. Right, that's a daily habit. You'd pray every day. You eat well every day. You study 4 to 6. You wake up 4 every day, right? Then study 4 to 6. So it kept him ready for impromptu. So if he was going for biochemistry class, if he got to class and the lecturer says, tear a sheet of paper, Clinton was ready. Is that your story? This flexible routine kept me prepared for impromptu tests, even while managing my sports and academic director responsibilities. Through it all, I'd stop to pray during the day, trusting God to keep me focused. My routine wasn't set in stone. On training days, for example, if I had practice at 4 p.m., go back to the hostel around 6:30 p.m., I'd go to bed by 7 p.m., wake up at 10 p.m., right, and study until 5 hours to make up for the time that is spent training, right? All the while keeping my sleep balanced. Excuse me, sir, are you sure? This one doesn't look like a balanced sleeping pattern. Lecture-free days were mostly for studying. I'd set aside 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. with breaks, and then sleep by 8 p.m. with breaks. If you recall, Gifty also mentioned the same thing, that she takes breaks while reading. So one thing you must do, prioritizing your study session, is taking breaks. And then sleep by 8 p.m. to stay consistent. Keeping my faith close through these times have helped me handle the ups and downs. Balancing academics, sports, and leadership roles taught me how to structure my time in a way that worked for me. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, I found a rhythm that kept me focused and allowed me to do well in all the areas that mattered to me, with God's help every step of the way. One thing that I can pick from this is that even when he has a very busy day, he doesn't make an excuse for himself not to study. So yes, you are involved in so many activities, you had so many meetings, so many classes, so many this, so many that, and it's like, oh, that's a valid reason for me to sleep throughout the night. But then because he was busy during the day, he spends the night studying instead of resting. The fourth person we're going to be looking at, with over 38,000 followers on TikTok. She's a Boston scholar to the law school scholarship stuff. She actually won the prize of the best behaved law student. She won the prize for the best student in fundamental human rights, and with a CGPA of 4.91. Talk about people with two heads again. Ladies and gentlemen, her name is Gold Nfon Usoro. Gold's daily habits. Number 1. Every single day she wakes up, she tells herself that she's not going to be pressured. So she tells herself that she's not going to be pressured. Well, on the bright side, she assimilates quickly. So according to her, she doesn't have to spend 8 hours studying before she gets it right. She doesn't permit unnecessary pressure. So even when she sees other people studying and all of that, she is not pressured because she knows that she assimilates quickly. Basically, she knew her strength and her weaknesses, and every single day she made a choice to dwell on her strength. No pressure. Know what works for you every day and stick to it. Number 2 is focus. In her words, The only thing capable of distracting you is yourself. Every single day she would make the choice. Obviously, at some point, it would become a subconscious choice. So, because I'm sure that she will not just wake up and in the morning stand in front of the mirror and tell herself, I'm not going to be pressured. I'm going to be focused. The only distraction is myself. I'm sure she doesn't do that. But it's like subconscious inside her that she decides that every day she's going to be focused. How she achieves this is by drawing to-do list. That's like the number one problem that some people have. They create to-do list in their head. They don't put it down to see, right? And then even when they put it down to see, they still don't stick to it because they wrote it, right? The third thing is breaks. The third person saying this thing. No one runs on no energy. What makes the difference is how much break you take, right? So if you're already taking like 1 hour break in between your study session, you are playing because you may not have the discipline to return, right? And what they do during that break also matters. I actually already made a video on what you should not do during the breaks that you take in your study session. You know, those little breaks you take, what you should not do. I'm going to be putting it out maybe after this or the one after this. I don't know yet. Break is necessary, but the difference between these ones is that they know where to draw the line. If you read for 2 hours and take 2 hours break, first one is no pressure, second is focus, third is break, and the fourth thing is asking questions. There is this thing God says. It's not even in what she said, but there's this thing God says. People who ask questions go far in life. She's like a big believer of asking questions. It doesn't matter that you think you sound stupid. Daily habits like remembering something and confirming if you know it, raising up your hand in class to ask questions just to be clear. Some of you don't have the courage to raise up your hand and ask questions. Maybe because you're too shy. Maybe you've been traumatized like me when I was in SS1. I told my mathematics teacher that I didn't understand what he just taught, and he told me that Sholo Doni Mini. Like, am I a dullard? Was I not listening? If I've been traumatized like that, I understand. But then, your proof of strength lies in your ability to move past your trauma or your dysfunctionality. That's exactly where the strength lies. That's deep because I know yet anyway. Asking your mates to explain to you, meeting lecturers privately and all of that. Should not say this one, no. I'm just suggesting that these are some of the ways that you can ask questions, right? So God says that asking questions is something that she has inculcated as a daily habit that has helped her go far in life. So even if God doesn't understand something, it doesn't matter that she's more quote and unquote intelligent than that person, as long as that person understands that particular topic she's having an issue with, she's going to meet the person for explanation. God has a word of advice to you all. She says, and I quote, always remember that you can't know everything and you don't always have to be the smartest in the room. Once you realize this, you will see how much you get to learn from others and add to your knowledge. Cheers. God served the Alpha Assembly. She was the class governor from 100 level to 500 level. She was the deputy chamber governor of a chamber in the college, and she eventually rose up to become the chamber governor. What a celebration of governorship. I will not be surprised if she ends up as the governor of Akwa Ibom State. All of this again is to show that you can balance things with your academics. And when I say things, I don't just mean position. It could be things like business, right? It could be things like relationships. Some of you think that, if you have relationship, you can do this thing. Either smart or not smart, people that are married, are they not doing other things? We just get married and sit down there, you know what, you not do big things in life. Learn how to balance these things, whether business, whether relationship, whether other activities and all of that. You just know that if you're involved in all of these things, you have to give more. So maybe when someone was reading, you were in meetings because of these activities, you already know that when they are asleep, you have to be awake to study and all of those stuff, right? So I really hope you enjoyed this video. You picked a thing or two. Put it in the comment section and let me see what stood out to you in this video. I want to give a special shout out to the 4 people that agreed to be in my video in the spirit: Inkosola, Clinton, Gifty, and Gold, right? And thank you very much for watching this video. If this is your first time finding my channel, my name is Margaret Adenpeko, as you can see, and everything I post on this video, on this channel, is education and academic related content. See you in my next video. Bye.